nasty spill, and that's what happened. Jericho, though, the first man back in the ring, shoulder block, double leg, trip that time, Eddie over the top. That's the second time he's tried that, but he landed nicely. And a back elbow, standing swedge, pick up German release, and it caught him on the back of the neck.
Yes, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is what's on Jones coming right back at you with a pro wrestling related type of video. And you know, I wanted to talk about WCW Cruiserweights. WCW Cruiserweights, these really small, lightweight, mask-wearing wrestlers. This was a time when these guys had the opportunity here in America to showcase a style that you never really actually seen before. Like, I never seen the style before they became in WCW, and it was amazing. It was an amazing time. These guys put on excellent, amazing, entertaining matches. They wrestled a fast-paced style that you wasn't really going to get from the bigger guys. You know, the guys who were 6'6", 255 pounds, full of steroids. You wasn't going to get that from them, but that was good because that made them stand out more and that made them different. Who was in this division, cruiserweight division? You have wrestlers such as Rey Mysterio, Chris Jericho. The Ultimo Dragon was probably my favorite cruiserweight, at that time. And, Ultimo Dragon, one of the reasons why I probably liked him is because he did all these martial arts techniques, and hey, that's what I love to watch. I love to watch martial arts. I remember the Dragon Sleeper. These guys, man, they helped WCW beat Raw in the ratings. They didn't get the credit for that back then, but when we look back during the Monday Night War today, we realize that they were one of the reasons why WCW was doing so well for a couple of years. The Cruiserweight division was so damn different. They had all these wrestlers from, like Mexico and, and Japan, and so forth. They wore these masks. Most of them wore masks. These masks, to me, made them look really, really cool because, hey, they reminded me of superheroes personally, and I was a big fan of superheroes. So these guys looked really, really damn cool. So they wrestled this fast-paced style. They wrestled this high-flying style. Like when I would see these somersault moves, especially from Rey Mysterio, this is probably the most athletic and the best that Rey Mysterio had looked around this time. At the time, Rey Mysterio was Rey Mysterio Jr. And it was so damn cool. So around that time, it was just, edgy. It was cool. It was fresh. It was new. Now when we see these moves, it's more like, yeah, we've seen it all before now. But back then, man, when it was so damn cool, it was fresh, it was new, it was hot, it was, like to kids, like a kid. Think about when you were a kid. If you watching these moves, man, and you ain't never seen it before, you go, ooh, that sort of thing. You look at it and you see, okay, well, that's amazing. And it was an amazing time. They put on a bunch of amazing matches. Not every wrestler wrestled a high-flying style. For example, Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds, didn't have a whole lot to say, but he damn sure had a whole lot of wrestling to showcase. He was the man of 1,000 holds, for Christ's sake. Look at that name, the man of 1,000 holds. Dean Malenko was one of the better wrestlers in WCW, and he didn't wrestle a high-flying style, but he still had cool, amazing matches too, as well. As well as Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero. He was one of the guys who helped get the Cruiserweight division where it was. He had a great Cruiserweight match with Rey Mysterio. I believe it was at Halloween Havoc. That match was so damn amazing. 5 stars. I guarantee you, that is a 5-star match. It is a classic. It's probably their best match that they ever had with each other. Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. The match was really amazing. Now, around this time also, WWE had their lightweight wrestlers. They didn't call it the Cruiserweight division. They just called it the lightweight division. They had their lightweight wrestlers, but it was didn't nobody really care. And it's because really they didn't have anybody who, well, for one thing, the matches were nowhere near as good. The matches weren't as good. The lightweight wrestlers wasn't showcased as well. They wasn't, there was no star there. There was no star. There was no star in their lightweight division for the WWE. The Cruiserweights, they had at least a couple of guys who stood out from amongst all those wrestlers. You know, you had Ultimo Dragon, you had Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio, and then Eddie Guerrero. You know, those guys most definitely stood out from the pack. But that lightweight division, didn't nobody give a damn about that division. I remember they had this wrestler named Taka Michinoku, and really the only good thing that he did was great was this little gimmick that they was giving him where the words didn't really match his mouth. It was like he was talking in an old Chinese martial arts movie. I think the group was called Kayatai, him and Funaki. That was the best thing that he did, you know, Taka Michinoku. They had Too Sexy Brian Christopher, which is Jerry the King Lawler's son. And they had this other guy named like Scott Putski, I think that's his name. But it was basically a bunch of guys who you didn't care. They clearly wasn't in the main event. They was always the first match. And you know, you just didn't care. You just didn't care. But that's WWE fault. They clearly didn't know how to showcase little guys. They didn't, because it was the land of the big guys. Let's be honest here. They pretty much always was. So eventually, when WCW go out, and, you know, Vince Russo, he didn't like the Cruiserweights. I do know that. He didn't like the Cruiserweights. A lot of those guys lost their mask, you know, for some reason. It's like all these guys were just losing their mask. You know, Rey Mysterio lost his mask, believe it or not. Juventud Guerrero, a couple more of those guys, like, they wasn't wearing their mask anymore. So all of a sudden, it kind of come across not as cool, to be honest with you. But, you know, eventually, everything in WCW just fell apart. And then they brought the Cruiserweight division to the WWE. And again, the Cruiserweight division just basically fell apart. It was so bad, they might as well have just ended it anyway. So it was like, did nobody really care? And I remember Matt Hardy was a Cruiserweight champion. Rey Mysterio, he was a Cruiserweight champion in WWE. I think Eddie Guerrero was too, but it was nothing like it was in WCW. It really wasn't. Like, the wrestling wasn't the same. It wasn't as exciting. You know, you didn't care, so why keep it? So eventually they got rid of it. But at the time when the Cruiserweight division was going in WCW, it was just hot, fresh, and new, and cool to see, because, well, you ain't never really seen it before around that time. So those are my thoughts. Just going through, remembering the Cruiserweight division back when I was a kid. So, if you haven't done so, go ahead, please click that subscribe button. I'm out. Deuces.